Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and yesterday, July 25th, 2018, we got ourselves an update to the Destiny 2 development roadmap, that content feature list that shows upcoming patches, what's going to be coming in some of those upcoming patches, and explains some of the changes that we'll be seeing within the game in the future. That's right, this kind of quietly rolled out yesterday, amongst a bunch of other news, including a brand new competitive PvP game mode called Breakthrough that we'll also be covering in this video. But we're going to start things off with the changes to the Destiny 2 development roadmap. Now, of course, we're less than 2 months away from the drop of Forsaken. And along with that drop, of course, a new season of content is going to begin here in Destiny 2. But thankfully, we're getting some rather big changes well before that happens. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Now, we've already experienced update 1.2.3, so we're in the second box right here. The only thing we're still waiting on from this update is, of course, the Solstice of Heroes, which is going to be starting on July 31st. And so if we move on here, August 28th is going to be the next big patch update for Destiny 2. That will be Destiny 2 update 2.0.0. the preloading of Forsaken. So let's take a look at what's going to be coming in here. First things first, we've got weapon slot changes. That's right, Guardians, we're actually going to be getting the weapon system change before Forsaken comes out. Which also reminds me, it's important to note that everything shown on the Destiny 2 development roadmap is free to all players of Destiny 2. The benefits and quality of life changes you're going to be seeing on these lists are going to be coming to everyone who plays the game, and weapon slot changes are a massive part of that. I really didn't expect us to get this really until September 4th when Forsaken finally came out, but we're actually going to be getting it in a big patch before the expansion drops. That's right, a full 7 days before Forsaken itself comes out, we're going to be able to test the weapon slot changes, which is super exciting. I don't think really anybody expected that to be the case, but I understand, it's probably going to be done that way so that they can do that gigantic change for the engine, the way the game works, and then get a 7-day testing period to make sure that everything's going to work in a live environment. Either way, I'm really excited to see that we're going to be getting the weapon slot changes a little bit earlier than expected. But of course, it does have an asterisk next to it, which means that these features have had their delivery dates revised since the last publication of the roadmap, and of course could change again in the future. Everything on this list is subject to change. Alright, moving on, we've got milestones and challenge updates, director updates, heroic story missions, bulk shader deletion, and 200 additional vault slots for a total of 500 vault space. All of this is great stuff. The director update, I'm assuming, is probably going to reference bringing in the new world space. It's probably going to start showing the reef and whatnot. You won't be able to load into it quite on August 28th, but you'll be able to see it on there. Maybe that's when they'll start showing some of the strikes that are going to be selectable and whatnot on the map. I think that makes sense, especially since we're also going to be getting heroic story missions within update 2.0.0. And of course, it's probably going to tie into the milestone and challenge updates. It's very likely that there's going to be some sort of heroic story mission challenge or milestone for you to complete each and every week. But all of that is going to be dropping on August 28th, and I have to say, that's going to be a pretty action-packed update. I'm going to be satisfied enough just playing around with some of the weapon slot changes that day. So I cannot wait to get my hands on that new environment. After that, of course, we've got update 2.0.0.1, the official drop of Forsaken just 7 days later on September 4th. Within this update, players will be getting gear collections, in-game triumphs, weapon randomization, meaning random perk rolls coming back to some weapons, generally year 2 weapons within Destiny 2, not year 1 weapons, the mod system update, 3 new Crucible maps plus 1 PlayStation exclusive map, a new Crucible game mode, power is going to start mattering in Iron Banner and Trials of the Nine. We're going to have more in-game lore as well as new bounties drop during this update. There's a lot to decompress there. We've already learned a bit about some of the gear collections and in-game triumphs. Of course, with gear collections, it's kind of going to be kind of like a vault library system where you'll be able to pull out weapons and armor that you've already gained in the game. With weapon randomization, of course, we know random rolls are coming back for weapons in year 2 and beyond. which will hopefully greatly expand the depth of gear collection within Destiny 2. Well, so long as some of the perks that you can get on those weapons are going to be pretty good. You know, we got to get some perk combinations that are just as good as the vaunted Outlaw Rampage combination for hand cannons. Of course, we've got the mod system update, which hopefully means we'll be learning about mods sometimes within the next month, because we still haven't heard too much about how exactly the mod system is going to be changing. We got a little bit of that a couple of months ago, talking a bit about how mods aren't just going to be +5 to your weapon or armor anymore, that they're going to have some specific abilities. I think the example given a few months back was like having Icarus. There's going to be a mod that basically grants you more in-air accuracy, which is fantastic. But I'm very much looking forward to learning more about how the mod system is going to be updating within the new world space of Forsaken. Of course, new Crucible maps are great. We're basically getting 4, 3 if you're on most platforms, 4 if you're on PlayStation, that good old console exclusivity. No word yet on whether or not we're going to be getting any more returning maps from D1. I certainly hope we do, because there's a lot of great maps in D1 that I think would work perfectly in D2. Of course, you've got your classics like Twilight Gap, Exodus Blue, Rusted Lands, the Drifter. There's so many great maps within Destiny 1 that I think would work pretty well in Destiny 2, and hopefully Bungie will continue surprising us with those as we move forward with new content releases. A big change, of course, that's coming is going to be power mattering in both the Iron Banner and Trials of the Nine. Man, I hate to sound elitist here, but you new Destiny 2 players, ooh man, you're going to have a rough time with that one. If you're somebody who just started playing the Destiny franchise with Destiny 2, well, back in Destiny 1, your power level actually mattered in in-game PvP. In game modes like Trials and game modes like Iron Banner, power advantage was turned on. So if somebody was 50 light above you, they were dealing more damage to you than you were dealing to them. So with this change, you're kind of being ripped out of the kiddie pool and you're having the floaters taken off, tossed into the deep end, and we'll just have to see if you sink or swim. Going to be very interesting to see how this change is going to affect the overall game. Of course, there is a worry there that it's kind of going to make it so that people who have the DLC are going to have a distinct advantage against individuals who don't. We don't know if they're going to be locking Trials and Iron Banner behind any sort of light level requirement. But if you're somebody who doesn't buy Forsaken, doesn't have access to that, how high does it go? Power level 600? Let's say you're still stuck at 385 when Forsaken comes out, a couple months down the road when everybody's hit max light, you're probably going to have a rough time going up against those power level 600 players. So definitely be prepared for that. And of course, you'll be seeing some of these changes within a brand new PvP mode that's going to be dropping when September 4th comes around and Forsaken comes out. But speaking of brand new PvP modes, we actually got to see a new competitive mode from Game Informer yesterday titled Breakthrough. Now it's important to note that this Breakthrough game mode isn't the game mode that's talked about on this development roadmap. Breakthrough's not going to be dropping when Forsaken comes out. It'll be coming out a little bit later. But thanks to a great video from Game Informer showing off the new game mode, we've got an idea for what this mode is going to be bringing to the competitive environment. Here's how they describe it. Teams start off evenly matched. There are 2 teams fighting for one captured point located in the center of the map. Once a team manages to capture the center point, the team who didn't is put on the defensive. The point near their starting location will become active, and if the team who captured the first point captures this one, they win the round. If the defending team manages to hold them off, however, they win instead. And that's the basic gist of it. So basically 2 teams are going to start off, they're going to fight for a central location, and the team that wins that encounter, that takes the central location, goes on the offensive, attempting to take over the opposing team's vault. The defending team's job is then to prevent that from happening. Basically, you need to hold off the pushes of the attacking team, and if you do, you win the round. That's going to be an interesting game mode. I want to see more of exactly how this is going to play out, especially since it seems to be focused all around momentum and then teamwork. If your team is on the aggressor side, if you manage to capture that midpoint, it's going to be all about coordinating your pushes and your flanks to take over that vault. If you're on the defending team, well, once you lose that midpoint, it's going to be all about securing lanes. Your spawns will change so that you spawn closer to your vault to help you defend it, but you'll really need to then coordinate your defense so that you don't get overwhelmed. It's definitely an interesting concept for a D2 game mode, and I can't wait to see more of it. We also through this video get to see a brand new PvP map titled Peak. which shows off several enclosed circular rooms with a few entry points, meaning you can hold down a choke point pretty easily. But almost more interesting than the map itself was some of the gameplay we got to see. Now, this is of course test footage, so all of this could change before the game comes out, but some of the more keen-eyed Guardians noticed some of the damage numbers were a little bit different than expected within this build. In particular, one of the Guardians is utilizing a 600 RPM auto rifle that's dealing 21 damage to the head and 13 damage to the body. This is interesting because currently 600 RPM auto rifles deal about 17 damage per crit in optimal range and 13 damage to the body, meaning that there may be a precision crit multiplier increase from about 1.3, which it currently is, to 1.6. The overall increase to precision damage would drop the global time to kill for this archetype of auto rifles in the game right now, which is about 1.1 seconds, to around 0.9 seconds, which is a pretty significant change in time to kill and would virtually match some of the auto rifle kill times way back in Destiny 1. And not only that, but that's an optimal time to kill. If you're landing all precision shots, meaning your body shot time to kill is still going to be the same. Now, like I said before, this is a test build, so things could definitely change before the game fully comes out. But I think that would be a really interesting way to kind of tweak some of the TTK numbers within D2 right now, while also sort of expanding the skill gap. Increasing that precision crit modifier makes it so that players who are playing more accurately, who are actually landing those precision shots, are going to have much more of an advantage against players who are just hitting all body shots, which is a great way to expand the overall skill gap and reward players who have a steady hand, while also giving us a TTK that could potentially deal with some of the crazy special weapon combinations that we're probably going to have when Forsaken comes out. It's definitely an interesting look, and hopefully we'll get some more concrete numbers from the Bungie Sandbox team about what exactly they're going to be doing to primary weapons to get them to compete a bit better with both returning special weapons and power weapons. I really can't wait to learn more about that, but this is definitely a good sign moving forward. If Bungie can figure out that specific balance between the newly changed weapon slot system and time to kill with primaries, I think they could have something really good on their hands with Destiny 2 PvP. But alright Guardians, that is it for this one. That's everything I've got for you today. Those are the changes coming in the Destiny 2 development roadmap. That is the new competitive PvP breakthrough game mode. And those are my thoughts on all of it. What are yours? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. That's going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.